What is up, you guys? Happy Monday, September 8th, 2025. Welcome back to another edition of the Truck Parking Clubhouse. Hope you guys are crushing out there. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Um, hope you're rolling strong. Hope you're staying safe through any weather that's going on out there. Do want to remind you before we get rolling, again, taillights just dropped 30 minutes ago, just over 33 minutes ago, actually. Taillights just dropped. So if you go all the way back to taillights issue number 9, we actually featured a driver who also makes her own coffee. Her name is Natasha Cruz Sanchez. She's also, we're going to be getting her on the Clubhouse here pretty soon, actually, to talk about what we talked about in the newsletter, because I think that'll make for great conversation. She's partnered with us at Truck Parking Club, and she's petitioning the DOT over an English language proficiency sort of endorsement, similar to how you'd pass the air brake and combination vehicle test to get your permit, or hazmat tanker, um, doubles, triples, whatever you'd like to say for endorsements. So interesting in there. Crack that into taillights. Also, U.S. Department of Commerce, they're sounding some alarms, some red flags going on with the national security stuff we talked about last week with autonomous vehicles, about how they're kind of doing it for cars. They're cautioning against national security for cars, but trucks have missed the conversation, and now that conversation's starting. Plus, weekly discounts. We got a survey in there that we'd love to hear from drivers on for enough feedback. But either way, it's Monday. Let's dive right into the Clubhouse. I'm bringing on a true hard charger right here, an absolute road dog, road warrior, our boy DJ. What's going on, brother?
Not much, not much. Just a little bit of home time.
We caught you on some home time, and that's good, man. You're at home right now. You're celebrating your birthday, right?
Yes, it'll be October the 10th. I'll be 32.
Yeah, that's trucking life. I mean, I remember that, like, the holidays, the birthdays. I'd be like, hey, like, I remember, like, a couple of years of driving. Like, my birthday's in January. I'm like, we'll celebrate my birthday at the Austin Marathon. We'll just wait till February. We'll wait till a month and a half, and that's when we'll celebrate it, because that's when it makes the most sense. But it's good you're able to get some good time at home, hang out with family, celebrate the birthday, and
Yeah,
then get back at it. Where is home for you?
home Florida.
You kind of broke up there a little bit.
Uh,
Where's home for
so
you?
Florida.
Florida. Whereabouts in the Big Peninsula?
Down near Tampa.
Shout out Tampa. Shout out St. Pete. Let's go. That's awesome, man. But appreciate you coming on here on a Monday night to come spitball, come do some riffing with the homies. We got some live viewers trickling in now. Let's get right into it, man. So I mean, you're trucker, DJ Dunaway, the go getter himself. How'd you get into trucking?
Trucking caught me when basically it's been a family tradition. So it started with my uncle and my dad. They've been driving for several years. And then, when they say that it's family, family starts everything. Um I remember being little, just, learning about all the trucks.
So kind of grew up with it. Now, when did you start driving?
I started driving 8 years ago. As of actually this September, 8 years ago.
Dude, that's awesome. So what were you do before you got your CDL? What were you doing?
I was actually in logistics, so I actually learned how to actually load the trucks where they weren't over 40,000 pounds.
Oh, also, were you
I was
working like
actually
at a trucking company?
in a warehouse,
Gotcha. So you're on
in a trucking company to be exact.
sick. So you're on one side of the loading dock. Now, what was like? I know you wanted to. You said your father, your uncle drove. What was the what was the decision like where you said it's my turn? Like, what did you always was that the plan the whole time, or was there like a sort of aha moment where you're like, you know what, it's time for me to pull the trigger, go get my CDL?
It got to the point where I was like, all right, I kept on climbing the ladder and there was no more to climb. And I was like, I need to learn what the other side of the industry looks like, what the truck drivers are going through.
Awesome. So where'd you go from there? So when it came to getting your CDL, where'd you get your start?
I got my start out of, well, I went to school out of Tennessee truck driving school. Went up to Tennessee, got got everything I needed to get. And then after I went through the 3 weeks of training, I went to Stevens Transport for my first company.
Awesome. Stevens Transport out of DFW, right?
Yes, out of Dallas Fort Worth. It's a starter company. It's a good starter company.
Yeah, I met several people over at Stevens Transport. I mean, they seem like good people. I've known a lot of good people who've gotten their start there. Yeah. So what was it like driving for them? How long were you at Stevens?
I was at Stevens for about 3.5 years.
Oh yes.
Just long enough to get my experience and move on to a company that was actually going to get me home a little bit more.
Yeah. So you paid your dues there. You did a good stint. I mean, 3.5 years. That's probably more than most. Yeah. You got in, hit the grindstone. So 3.5 years after Stevens, where'd you head?
I went to U.S. Express and I actually was on the Dollar Tree and then the Dollar General account.
Hmm.
So I was home every weekend.
Oh, awesome. So you're kind of doing a regional run on the
Yeah.
so yeah, one of those regional dedicated runs are pretty solid ones to get in on. I want to give a big shout out to Nate Ivy out there tuning in on LinkedIn. What's up, brother? And also big shout out Willie Hunt if you're looking for parking around Cincinnati. We do got it. Go to the Truck Parking Club app. Go to truckparkingclub.com. By the way, we got several locations around Cincinnati. We actually have one in Florence, Kentucky. We just posted a video about today on our programs. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, Willie, you can see that code TRKDJ93. It'll get you $20 off your booking. So if you are looking for parking outside of Cincinnati, that's where you're looking. We've got DJ's code right at the bottom of the screen. But back to the Clubhouse. So you did a little stint at US Express. How long were you with them?
Yes. I was with them for an additional 2 years.
So walking us up. So we're 5 years in with US Express for
Yes.
2 years. We're 5 years. What's next after US Express?
Good old Hirschbach, where I'm at now.
So that was final destination. So you're 8 years in. So you're on year 3 with Hirschbach.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about Hirschbach a little bit. So what made you make that jump from US Express going to Hirschbach?
The number one thing is their leasing program. Their leasing program is top notch.
Yeah, let's go into it. Let's break it down. So I mean, what's that look like for you?
Well, when I first started with them, they was able to help me obtain my LLC, and they was able to walk me through all the steps of getting the paperwork finalized and getting everything situated so I can make that step to be that owner operator.
So they help you get set up, and then I mean, where does it go from there? What's it look like? Are you hawking load boards yourself? Are they dispatching you? What's it look like?
Right now I look at load boards myself, but I'm actually contracted with a specific carrier technically. I actually pull just for Tyson at the moment.
So you're
So,
pulling Tyson loads with Hirschbach.
yes.
We work with a couple of guys. We got big shout out to Ralph and Adam. They're Tyson drivers themselves. So yeah, what's that like? So you're mainly hauling reefer?
Yes. I mainly haul refrigerated. I give them a call and they say, "Hey, I got this load, I got this load, and I got this load out of where you're at. How far do you want to travel outside that area?"
Nice. And when it comes to driving at Hirschbach, so I mean, kind of sell me on it a little bit. If there's a driver out there watching, if there's somebody on Instagram, if there's anybody watching here live, so what would be your selling point on why somebody else? Because you're there, you've been there, you're going on year 3. It seems to be working out pretty well for you. What would be What would be like if you were to encourage a driver to come drive? What would be kind of the highlights you would tell them?
It's more like family. Uh, they are family owned and operated. Hirschbach is. So I when I call, I'm always greeted by my name. I'm not greeted by a number. So that's the number one thing that gets me. I want, I don't want to always say, "Hey, my name is such and such with truck number such and such." I want to make sure that, you know, you're you're away from family no matter what when you're driving these trucks. So you want to feel like you're somewhat at home, or being able to be that, that communication with whoever you're talking to. You don't want to say, "Hey, I'm in truck number 7786 or something."
Yeah, so they got you on a first name basis. Feels like there's good communication. But other than that, they've been keeping you rolling. What's like maintenance wise? What's it like on the truck upkeep? Are they helping you out with regular maintenance? Are you Do you have like a maintenance plan worked out with them? Yeah,
Yes.
how are they keeping you rolling?
So with the maintenance program, everything comes, every check that hits, I put, there's a certain amount per mile that goes into my maintenance fund. So I make sure that there's always stuff going into the maintenance fund itself. Actually, currently, the truck is actually getting its upkeep now, so I can go out for a little bit longer. So that's why home time was such a good thing right now. They're going to put some brand new tires on the truck and things like that.
No, good. That's awesome. Now, speaking of, so when it comes to you owning the business and leasing with Hirschbach, I do got to ask you because you make content. You're on TikTok. How come? What made you decide to start making content? This kind of newer question. I should start asking people. What made you want to get on social media and start posting?
Well, I wasn't into truck driving or what they call trucker talk or TikTok or anything like that in the beginning. I actually started my start on YouTube, Instagram, and a site called younow.com, which is a social media site. And I actually DJ'd. That's where I got my name DJ from. So everybody liked music, and I was there for it. I wanted to learn everything I could on the music side.
What kind of music you DJing?
I was doing dubstep. I was doing country, rock, hip hop. I DJ'd weddings, and then I did a whole bunch of stuff when I first started out.
We might need to. You still keep some of that equipment on you?
Oh yes, I do.
We might need a new intro video for the clubhouse every Monday. We're gonna have to talk offline, see what kind of dubstep beat we could walk the clubhouse into. It is the clubhouse, so I think it's only fitting
Yes.
we get a club banger walk in the clubhouse every Monday.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
Just yeah, so you started on the music side, music talk, DJing. You're making content. You're out there. You're leasing with Hirschbach now. You've been driving for 8 years. I mean, so I got to ask only because it's an issue for everybody. When was the first time you had heard of Truck Parking Club?
The first time I heard of truck parking club was actually when I was in a little bit of a hiccup. I'm gonna tell you this. It was about a year ago. I was up in the Northeast. I was near the Bronx, and I needed a place to park. And I knew I was gonna run out of time because of the fact that I had to deliver to Hunts Point the next morning. So I was searching everywhere trying to find a truck parking, somewhere that was safe for my truck at that time. Couldn't find it. The Northeast as well as I know the Northeast. It's bad parking unless you're like early. I got to New Jersey, where near the Vince Lombardi, there was no parking at all. So I was like, okay. So I searched up best truck parking places, and I seen Truck Parking Club app pop up. I said, bingo. So I just started searching on it, and that's when I reserved my first spot.
Nice. And that so basic Google search, and it was a spot in New Jersey.
It was a spot just east of New Jersey.
Nice. And so delivering in Hunts Point Market, I actually when I worked for a wholesaler before I drove, and I helped opened up a store and warehouse in the Bronx, right next to Hunts Point Market, and I still don't know where anybody parks up there or how they get there.
If you, this is the thing, if you don't get into Hunts Point like right off the bat, and they allow you to park on property if you can make it there. But the thing is, some of these places that you're coming from is near like the meat patch, like out west. So a lot of times you're burning your clock until you get there.
Yeah, so you're never showing up at the most ideal time.
Yes.
No, that makes sense. That's good. Yeah, so I mean, that was your first time using Truck Parking Club. How's it been? I mean, how's it been working for you since?
Been real good. A lot of the places that I delivered to, like near Indianapolis and near Chicago, um, I mean, number one place that I stayed recently was just out of Shelbyville, Indiana. So that was a really good place to park too, and it was nice. Place was real nice to park at. It was right beside the Walmart, like right down the road, and I was getting ready to deliver there anyway, so it kind of worked out.
Oh, that's perfect, man. So you're finding it kind of like there's spots plugged in along your deliveries that's just making it easier getting in and out. Were you delivering to that Walmart? Was it a DC?
Yes, it was a Walmart DC.
So the spot was right next to it. So it just kind of worked out. You had a place right next to the delivery spot.
Yes. Um, the other place that I did, and I actually did a video on this one, was Exit 87 Barbecue. That place right there, it was a spot. There was plenty of parking. They had that barbecue, they opened up at 4 a.m. for all the drivers, and they were there Monday through Monday almost every day of the week. And I tasted their food. I ain't gonna lie, their barbecue was really good.
I'm a huge Exit 87 barbecue respecter. I actually like I find myself talking about that place at least once a week. Probably some of the best ribs I've ever had. What's especially astounding, which is almost a tip of the cap, is you can order via CB radio. If
Yeah.
you didn't know, if you want to order ahead of time, you can call it in on the CB radio what your order is, so that way it's freaking ready by the time you're there and parked.
Yeah, I didn't know that they had a CB, but I did hear a lot of chatter when I got closer to it.
Yeah, you can't beat it. No, that's a good spot. Exit 87. Yeah, that was a frequent flyer at Exit 87 barbecue. Went for a lot of runs up and down that road quite a bit. That's good, man. I'm glad it's working out for you. You know, you're on year 8 of driving. You've seen it pre-COVID, post-COVID. So I mean, I got to ask you the same way I ask anybody else. What do you think is the number one issue facing the industry right now?
The number one would probably be being underpaid for certain loads.
So you'd say driver pay. You think it's driver
Yes.
pay and the rates. Like you specifically think the rates.
The rates are significantly lower than they have been in several years. When I first started, the rates were really, really, really good. Like, they were nice. I mean, they were doable. I mean, I'm not gonna say that it was, ideal, but they were doable. Um, and then it just got worse.
So on your end, so what have you how have you kind of been navigating that issue? Have you been sticking around with certain have you been staying around certain areas? Have you been finding what areas are better to go to? How have you kind of been staying on top of it?
Well, I've been staying near the meat patches and the hot zones, and I've also navigated the amount that I keep my truck running or I keep my truck idling versus how much fuel I use versus how much I use my APU.
All right, so you're keeping yourself region specific, cutting some costs where you can on fuel consumption.
Yes.
Some solid stuff. Now, what do you think? I mean, what do you think needs to change when it comes to? You said rates are bad. How do you think? How do you think it should be fixed? What do you think can be fixed?
I feel like the brokers could be giving us a fair rate besides taking a 60% cut on a lot of the meat loads or a lot of the produce loads.
So you would say you. So you think there should be like some more transparency
The
between that. What?
broker, yes, the broker to the driver.
Gotcha. Now, do you think? I mean, just in the grand scheme of things, do you think that there's too many trucks on the road at the moment?
To be honest, I don't think we have enough.
So you think that there's ample freight? You think that there's like a ample freight for everybody to keep moving?
I believe that there is a good amount of freight, just it's being cut on cost.
Gotcha. So elaborate on that. Now, where do you think it's being cut?
Okay, so
You said the rates were being good a few years ago. What do you think has caused them? What do you think has caused them to go down on your end?
the number one thing I see is instead of them taking, one truck at a legal weight, they're slamming everything in to one truck and it's making things be worse on the driver itself.
Oh, so you're noticing that the freight you're hauling is substantially heavier than in previous years.
Yes.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I mean, so you think that there like some trailers are getting overloaded in order to kind of cut down on freight costs.
Yes.
Got it. Now, how do you think that this could be fixed? What do you think is the resolve for this issue when it comes to the rates? What would you, if you could wave a magic wand, kind of solve this? What are the things you would do to kind of fix how drivers and carriers are being paid?
Honestly, the best way to fix it is I wish we could go back 3 years ago where, people were doing 41,000 pound loads and, rates were a dollar, over $1 a mile at least. For a truck, for my truck, I'm not speaking for everybody else, but for my truck, for me to profit, I need about $2.50 to profit. So, and I'm speaking for my truck. I'm not speaking for everybody else's. Everybody has their own fixed rate on how they can make profit on you know, on their truck.
Absolutely. Yeah. You should definitely know your break even. So, I mean, going back, the thing is, we can't go back 3 years. So, what do you think is a method to kind of address this? Like, what would you do? Would you say address broker transparency? Do you think that there needs to be more accountability on weight selection? What would you do to fix this?
Have the brokers be accountable for the amount of weight and have the shippers accountable for what they're putting on, because the number one thing that I see that they're not accounting for is pallet weight.
Yeah, go on. Elaborate on that.
Okay, so I mean, a lot of times, like last week's load, I had to take it back to get reworked, and they had to take product off because they had the product weight on the trailer, but they didn't have the pallet weight. So pallets do weigh something too. And that's where they're trying to, like I say, once again, they're trying to overload the trailer with more product, knowing that the pallets weigh something too.
So full weight not being measured on these loads, a little bit more accountability there.
Yes.
That's a good answer. There's no right or wrong answer there. So so you'd say driver pay and rate and freight rates, top issue. I'd say it's top issue because we see the amount of bankruptcies going on. If you had to make a number two, if there was a number two issue, so besides the rates and pay, what do you and not parking, because we're already here talking about we already addressed parking's the norm. We know that that's the big problem out there.
Yeah.
What would you say is number two to freight rates? Biggest issue, something that you would love to change if you can wave a wand.
I would honestly say it's not the parking itself, it's the communication where the drivers aren't knowing that the parking is there. That's what I'd say the number two issue is.
So where there is available parking, you think that there needs to be better communication, better kind of advertisement of where guys are able to go.
Yes.
That makes sense. I know that there's states that do that when it comes to signage, but there could always be more going on with that. So those are some issues. So rates, parking availability, technology. You being 8 years into the industry, I always like to ask somebody who's coming on for some final thoughts. If you were to give some advice to somebody who is brand new entering the industry, what would you tell a new driver right now who's looking to get into trucking?
Ask all the questions you can. Don't be afraid to ask questions when you are first starting. Ask and write notes. Take notes. Because if you're not learning every day, or you're not learning at least one thing a day, then you're never too long in this industry not to learn something. There's going to be a dock, there's going to be a shipper, there's going to be a broker, there's going to be a place you deliver to, there's going to be, you know, maybe DOT might ask you something differently. You know, they might ask you when's the last time you did a in trip, instead of asking pre-trip and post-trip, which an in-trip is, mainly focused on flatbeds for securement. But that can also be on checking your brakes if you're going down a mountain. So, there's a lot of little things that you can learn each and every day. And the number one thing that I can probably say out of all this, if you don't get out and look, definitely get out your truck and look, because that could be somebody's truck that you're going to hit.
That's some pretty sound advice. I mean, hey, anybody in the comments, while we got another minute or two here, feel free to sound off if you got any questions or remarks. But number one, dude, I want to thank you for coming on the Clubhouse this evening. Definitely won't be the last time. We'll have to bring you on and talk more a little bit about rates and figure some stuff out. But before I walk this one off, just for the viewers out there, number one, it is Monday. We're here every Monday at 7:30 p.m. But for those who are just tuning in, maybe it's your first time watching, Truck Parking Club's mission is to help truckers save time, fuel, and money by efficiently reserving truck parking all across the United States. We firmly believe that we want to leave the industry better than we found it, which is why we partner and work with gentlemen such as DJ right there. And so if you do need parking tonight, you want to be able to instantly reserve it. Again, that promo code's right at the bottom of the screen, TRKDJ93. It'll get you $20 off that booking, so you're able to find some safe parking tonight. But with that, guys, we will see you next Monday, 7:30 p.m. back at the Clubhouse. Take care.